Hello everyone, it's thomasjujube, and welcome to my review of the Power Rangers Dino Fury premiere episode, the newest Power Rangers season that, like most recent seasons, honestly had a pretty solid first episode. I'm gonna go over all of my thoughts on the episode in this video, but before I do, be sure to leave a comment down below letting me know if you enjoyed this episode or didn't enjoy this episode, and consider subscribing to the channel as well for other Power Rangers and Tokusatsu content, such as this video where I actually kind of try to predict what could happen in Dino Fury after watching the Super Sentai version, Ryu Soldier, and did I guess anything correctly in that video? Well, no, it's too early to tell, come on, but who cares about that? We're talking about Dino Fury. So, first off, the theme song, we start with the theme song. This was my first time hearing the song when I watched the episode, and I didn't really mind it. I thought it was pretty cool. I really like the backing track, like the instrumentals, that's what I mean. I thought that was really cool. I really love like the techno vibe. The lyrics are kind of weird, or like the vocals. I don't like the drawn out Dino Fury in the beginning. It kind of sounds really bad. However, once the Evolution Revolution lyrics kick in, I think it sounds pretty cool. I really like that set of lyrics, and from that point on, the song is pretty awesome. So overall, I thought the theme was fine. Now to the episode itself, I kind of like that it's split into like two very nice parts, where the beginning is sort of our character world introduction, and the last half of it is straight up just Power Rangers action, lore, whatever, and both I think were very cool. To start with the beginning, of course, we have the whole thing kicking off with Amelia, and I like that we have her as this reporter character, and it's a cool way to give us some quick backstory on Dino Henge as part of this town. It's just, you know, there's just a weird set of dinosaur statues in this town. No one seems to question it, and obviously we set up Amelia and Buzz Blast, and I don't know, Buzz Blast is just kind of funny to me. I kind of think it's funny that there's a fictional equivalent of literally BuzzFeed, like right in the name, just in Power Rangers. I don't know why it's funny, I just think it's funny, and I also think it makes Amelia a lot of fun because she's like this modern-ish reporter, like she was basically filming a vlog in the woods. It also kind of makes her curiosity for the Power Rangers stuff kind of more fun as well, because like her job is to go look for weird stuff, or at least she wants it to be her job, since there's the whole thing with her looking for ghosts. I hope she finds some ghosts in the show. I hope we have a gag like that. I don't remember Ryu Soldier having a ghost thing, so I don't know if there's something like that in the stock footage, but anyways. Amelia also gave us some of the best humor in the episode, in my opinion. Like the beginning where she's telling her boss that she has permission to go into Dino Henge, but she has like her fingers crossed, so she really doesn't have permission, of course. And then we follow up on that later with the weird Buzzkill dude, I think that's his name, and then he shows up and he's like, hey, you can't be here, blah blah blah. With Amelia, you can kind of see, I think, where they're trying to, and by they I mean the writers are trying to change up the writing of Power Rangers. Like it did feel a lot more subtle when she, you know, she's like, oh yes, I do have permission, and she didn't have permission. And the boss herself was kind of like, in the beginning she's like,
did we really just have a weekend?
That felt too real. And honestly, for Power Rangers to feel too real in recent years, I think I like that. Our introduction to Amelia kind of leads into our introduction to Ollie. I don't think he was bad, but Amelia's introduction just had a lot of life, and Ollie's was just, oh yeah, I am also here at Dino Henge trying to study Dino Henge, and I got hit with a weird net thing. His mom was kind of more enjoyable in this episode, to be honest, and she, you know, she kind of had the presence, like she knew what she was doing, and Ollie seemed like he was just kind of there. Maybe if the mom wasn't there and Ollie was just doing everything the mom does in this episode, but I think it's also kind of interesting to have a mom character be like this. But we also had that last year with Beast Morphers, so I'm not really sure. During the fight at the end of the episode, I thought he got a lot better. So hey, let's talk about the second half of the episode, which I thought was super fun. I loved the second half of the episode. Obviously, we have some wonderful lines with Ollie where now he kind of becomes the one person in the Power Rangers team that knows what Power Rangers are. And unlike other times where he's like, you don't know what a Power Ranger is, we have weapons, blah, blah, blah. He actually mentions Zords.
What other stuff do him again.
If you watch the news, Zords!
I thought that was a really funny line. I mean, he knows what's coming. He knows what he's doing, I guess. So that's really great. I mean, he is the first one to go for the swords and fight Void Knight. So I guess, yeah, he really does know what he's doing. So speaking of Void Knight, I think the villains are really cool in this first episode, at least. I really like some of the lore changes with them. First of all, Geizolg, now as Void Knight, I should probably call him Void Knight. He looks like he's going to be the main villain of the show, unlike in Japan, and I think I'm all for that because that's an absolutely beautiful suit, and I'm really loving seeing that it's going to have some more action in the show this time around. The one thing that I am a little disappointed with regarding the villains is the Sporix, just because I really like the Minosaur gimmick where they fed off people's fears and whatever, and this time they're just kind of like normal monsters, but at the same time they're also now like these ancient warriors, so I guess it's okay. I mean, there's something different going on, so I'm okay with that. They're not just random monsters, and they didn't take away an interesting gimmick. My favorite change, however, is turning the foot soldiers, which are the henchmen in this show, into controlled bad guys that were originally good guy soldiers from another Ryusoul, or a power key, I think they're called. That is just really damn cool. I love this gimmick so much. Like, it probably won't play a big role in the season, but just the idea in this episode and kind of how that will kind of permeate the rest of the episodes is super duper cool, and honestly, it kind of establishes Void Knight as a pretty powerful villain, or at least a villain that can catch things pretty well. If you haven't seen Ryusoldier, these foot soldiers were already villains, and the other big generals were also in the same chess motif as these henchmen. So in Dino Fury, I'm really interested to see if those other generals will actually be related to the henchmen. I would really like to see the generals be like Sporix infused henchmen, but I mean, like with a lot of things in this episode, we'll just have to see. It's the premiere, we're not going to see everything. So with the villains having a cool setup, it obviously allows for Ollie and Amelia to demonstrate their worthiness to become Power Rangers. They obviously become Power Rangers because of course they do. And then eventually we get Zato unleashed, and then he finishes off the fight. And the fight is really cool. I love seeing the Ryusoldier suits in action again, but the choreography of this fight is really great. The environment of just this room is also really great. I love the aesthetic of it, and the music is also pretty cool. I love the techno theme that they brought in, kind of like the opening. So I just love the original ideas here, especially with the Chroma Fury saber, as they're called. Pretty badass name. It's turning into this new dagger. I don't know, that's really cool. I really like that idea, as opposed to just being like another weapon. It's like a different mode, probably for the toys. And then we get a cool Zato versus Void Knight duel. And I mean, honestly, that on its own, I would have been fine if this was the finale of the episode. But then we get Zato demorphing, and he's like, hello, my name is Zato, and these antennae are alien things. Also, I guess before I forget, there is the dinosaur friend. I like the dino friend. That's it. That's all I had to say. Zato then gives us all the exposition for the show, and it's really, really cool. Going step by step. Zato is part of a team of knights that formed to fight the Sporix. Super cool backstory and a super cool setup for a history with these villains. Then it's taken a step further, and these alien knights rode dinosaurs in their fight against the Sporix. That's awesome. And then it's taken another step forward, and the Morphin Masters are introduced into the TV show, and they give everyone their super cool suit powers, whatever. If you didn't know, the Morphin Masters are basically these like super duper beings that preside over the Morphin Grid, and they're a pretty big part of the Power Rangers comics, but now they're just being rolled into the live action show. They've got like a new design going on to fit with the Ryusoldiers, and they just straight up give Zato and his team all their powers. I mean, it's kind of crazy, and it's pretty awesome. With the Ranger stuff, I like this setup for Gold. It's like not exactly in your face, like look, it's the Gold Ranger or Gold Ranger's coming, but it's also kind of subtle enough that if you're not really looking for it, you could miss the Gold Ranger appearing early. Obviously, you know Black and Green are coming because they're in all the promo stuff. But regarding Green, obviously it's same thing with the skirt. It kind of leaves the door open for like a groundbreaking explanation for why the female Ranger doesn't have a skirt, or it could be an unexplained Easter egg, or it could be the worst melding of Sentai and Power Rangers footage ever. Hopefully it's not that last one. Hopefully it's one of the other two. Now, the Morphin Masters themselves, they are kind of weird in this. Like, the floaty effect feels kind of strange, and the way Zato's explaining, it does kind of feel weird, like suddenly the most powerful beings in the universe opened the door and turned our dinosaur friends into statues. I was kind of thinking if this would work better if like the Knights just became Power Rangers on their own, but I think making the Morphin Masters the people who gave them their powers, even if it's visually strange and kind of feels out of nowhere, it expands this season's lore in such a cool way. And obviously this really feels like the creators are trying to do something interesting with Power Rangers, obviously bringing in comic ideas into the show. If they're really trying with this, I still love it. And obviously one of the last things Zato shows us is a shot from the finale of Kishiryu Sentai Ryu Soldier, which I'm actually okay with because it's kind of a cool way to establish like all of the equipment in the season, except maybe Noblesse just being an original tool that was used by Zato and the Dino Fury team. And it also explains how that Mosasaurus got on land, because obviously this shows that Mosarex, the Gold Ranger Zord, can fly on a water tornado, and obviously you would have to assume this Mosasaurus can do the same. There is no scientific proof that Mosasauruses could not fly on water tornadoes, so we have to assume this is what happened. And also, it could mean that there's like not really a mentor character in the season, and it's more Zato as like the mentor slash leader who gives out the power-ups. I think that would be a really cool change, but again, we'll have to see. There's just a lot of super cool ideas in this last part of the episode. And throughout this entire episode, as a massive Ryu Soldier fan, I'm really enjoying all of these unique changes and additions to that original lore to make this Dino Fury season slash episode feel really, really unique. If it all crumbles apart by episode 5, at least I can go to a local Target and get some cool Ryu Soldier Zords, watch the cool Ryu Soldier aesthetics in action again, and see a new interpretation of best Sentai villain Weisel. Speaking of Weisel, best Sentai villain, if you didn't know, if you're interested to hear more of my thoughts on him and Ryu Soldier in general, I've actually made quite a few videos on it from when it was airing in Japan, and I've also got quite a few videos on Sentai in general coming out over the next few weeks. So if you're interested in all of that, consider subscribing to this channel, or just subscribing if you like this video. Hey, I'm not picky. Subscribe for whatever reason you want. And be sure to let me know what you thought about Power Rangers Dino Fury, and I hope to see you next time.